All right. Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome back to our No Code Ops live community show. I hope you're doing well wherever in the world you're joining us from. And if you are joining us on LinkedIn, I see you. I see you guys. Just make sure that you also watch the YouTube stream because sometimes your messages don't come through. I've noticed that in our past streams. And so you might want to join us on YouTube if that happens. But for anyone else, welcome back to our show. It's great to have you here. And if this is your first time, we're No Code Ops, a free international community for operations professionals who get empowered with no code to scale up their career. And so if you've been with us for a while, you know that each Thursday we try to share as much value as we can with you by inviting influential speakers from the no code space to equip you even more with more skills, more knowledge, and more no code goodies. And so it's great to see some of our members here in the chat already. Steven, Jared, great to see you guys. And I often say this, I want for these 60 minutes to be as interactive as possible. So do interact with us in the chat. This is your chance, your 60 minutes to get more knowledge and as much value as you can. And so please do go ahead and share some love, So really excited for today's event. Our event is No Code Heroes, climbing the no code ladder. And that's a topic that we're really passionate about at No Code Ops because we have so many operations professionals out there that still don't know how to quite use the full power of no code. And I'm so excited for our guest today, Jessica de Oliveira. She's the head of education and mission Citizen. And without further ado, I'm going to pull her into the stream. Hello, Jessica. Great to have you here.
Hi, Claudia. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here. How is everyone doing? Everyone's had a great week so far.
Yeah, we were just chatting in the backstage, me and Jessica. We were like, oh, such a long week, hasn't it? But, this is our time to just wind down a little bit, relax, and get into a learning position, a growth mindset, right? So wherever you are, put yourselves comfortable, feet on the ground, take a deep breath, and get ready to learn because our event today is going to be amazing. Jessica, I would like for you to give us a quick introduction on how did you get into no code. You're such an expert. You're such a hero to me. We've been having a chat about citizen development and how do we share the same mission of empowering operators with no codes. And so I would love to hear, how did you get into the space?
It was by accident, if I have to put it in so many words. And I was in a different career, like most people start off in. I was in wellness. I was a body worker, acupuncturist, and I always had this inkling feeling of like wanting to create an application. I was so into technology back maybe 5, 6, take it back 10 years. And every time I finished a new like degree or something in like wellness and healthcare, there would be this thought in my head, like, I want to build an app. And it was just like so random. It's like, I want to do something cool. I want to build something. And so I took the initiative. It just so happened that the chiropractor's office that I worked in the same building in New York City was General Assembly. So I was like, let me see if I can, join coding boot camp after work at night, right? And it turns out that coding was boring. It was not it wasn't for me. There wasn't the rush that I felt every time I thought about apps. I did not feel that rush. So I basically I was really determined. I decided to Google how can I build an app without knowing how to code? And it was so stupid to me at the moment, but so many things came up. So I mean, more than I thought was gonna be there was there, and I found a no code boot camp at the time that I joined instantly, and I dove in. The thing is that no code was a little bit more in its early days back then, maybe about 60 years ago, and
Mhm.
it's just like there were not as many resources as I thought that was going to be there, and so I ended up self-teaching and then teaching that community, and eventually the owner of that community hired me to be the teacher. So that's how I got in. And at the time, I just wanted to build an app that would help me study for my boards, and I never made it to the boards. I just kept building apps. So like I said, it was really by accident, but it was an amazing accident, and a stupid Google search got me here to answer the question.
That's such a beautiful cycle, and I think so many people in our audience can relate to that. That sort of like stumbling upon no code. By
Yeah.
the way, coding is boring is going to be our new slogan in the community. Coding is boring. Join no code ops. I love that so much. And where are you based?
I'm on the East Coast of the United States right now, so I'm anywhere between New York and Florida. Sometimes LA. So it depends on
Nice.
what work's being done. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, anyone here in the audience from there, give us a holler. Is that how you say? Awesome. All right. And so today's topic, today's event is going to be all about climbing this no code ladder, right? And so should I pull in your slides?
Yeah, sure, sure. Today, I just really want to talk about, since I've been through the position of going from one industry to the next, and then from teaching into uh, agency, into freelancing, into consulting. I really want to show people how the no code skill has taken me in different directions, and it can do the same for them. And some things were, just opportunity available, and other times it was just like taking the initiative to do a little bit more. And so I just want to just show a few slides to show you like where you should try to take an initiative, and then where things will probably take off once after you take that initiative, right? So let's begin with the reason why you should want to learn no code. If you are in a space where you're at a job and you want to switch into the no code industry, the reason why you even want to consider it is because you would stand out in your organization. In an organization, or I should say in any space period, me being the person that could answer everyone's questions about their computer or anything for that matter, I became that go-to person that everyone came to when they needed a solution to a problem when it came to their tech. So you want to stand out in your organization. Imagine you being someone in marketing that has this tech savvy, right? It's not just in your organization, on your resume. That is something that stands out, that you have a skill that maybe not everyone in your particular position may have, right? The other thing is that in no code, we work with user interface design, that's designing screens for your applications and automations, and we work with data. Believe it or not, every single job, we already handle data all the time, right? So if you work in an Excel or a Google spreadsheet, you're handling data of some sort. If you're doing pivot tables, you're writing formulas, all those things are relevant to developing applications, or just in general, developing solutions inside of an organization. So you already have the skills, the foundational skills that's necessary to be in the no code development space. You just need to take that transferable experience and bring it into the realm of being someone that is, I like to class it as someone that is improving processes, because it's not just about building application and building an automation. Once you shift the perspective into I'm a process improvement specialist, that opens up a whole new world, right? And also it opens up different ears to what you're trying to do, right? And so the other reason why you might want to dive into no code development is that there are more and more companies adopting the technology because technology is moving very rapidly, not just from the new technologies that we're engaging in at work, but also how much technology we need to get through a workday, right? So there are more and more tools, SaaS tools that are out there that we're using, like the Monday.coms and the Airtables, just to get through the workday to collaborate at work. And with that being said, there's just the IT department to manage a lot of these things. So what happens is an organization may need more resources for making sure there are more technologies to cater to the entire organization. And so that's where no code development comes in. And we need no code operators, developers, automators to fill those positions to help with creating those technologies, right? So just to class it, no code, low code, or the entire realm of the industry is just software to create software.
Mhm.
Luckily, with no code, you don't have to have that technical expertise or high technical expertise to do it. So we are looking for organizations are looking for people who have the simple expertise, the managing the database, or in your case, it would be probably like a spreadsheet, and creating flows of information that takes us through our everyday processes. So the demand is there, but there aren't enough. What I found from research is there aren't enough people that know that companies are looking for them with this skill. So that's a great reason to try to get into no code now while it's early, and you can be one of the pioneers of something that is growing in organizations today. And lastly, I would say that this probably speaks to my journey the most, is just preparing yourself for the next move. It's about I was not prepared. I was not prepared in a lot of instances. I found that being on LinkedIn and, just simply saying I had the skill of no code or low code on my LinkedIn profile, it attracted a lot more recruiters looking for someone. At first, it was like, can you use Power Apps, and can you code this, and can you code that? And then over time, there was just, can you use a no code platform? No more coding requirements. So just having some of this on your resume can take you a long way. And the next thing I want to talk about is, I guess, where would you start to take the initiative to kind of jumpstart your career? I would say that the thing that I didn't know, or I couldn't know much about, was at the time, because the industry was still just budding and there wasn't enough resources out there just yet. It was just like, learn the no code industry, learn what's the difference between no code and low code, learn what what platforms are for what solutions, and what platform you could use in the job that you're in today. What and that would begin with understanding the basic skills outside of development. I would love everyone to understand that development is something now that is fully democratized. It's readily available. It's free for you to learn, whether you're on YouTube or you go to a no code platform and take their academy training, or you're in the no code ops community, right? So the idea of learning a platform, well, that's always there for you. What you have to focus on learning is some of the other things that are more relevant to business. Understanding how to identify problems in your environment or in your process is where you begin with creating solutions, identifying problems. And I'd say that you can go to work tomorrow and probably go through your day and find that you've complained about two or three things before the end of the day. And those are the opportunities for you to, one, identify a problem, and then next, class it as a business problem, right? Because the difference between someone saying to their upper management, hey, we have a problem and we've been having this issue for a while, and this is what the outcome is every time this problem happens, and someone who says, hey, we have a problem here, and this is the challenge that it's causing for the business. And if it continues this way, business will fail, or you'll lose money, or we're losing time, we're not efficient. When you speak that language, you open different ears, right? So the former version of that is just someone else complaining about something that we need to fix eventually. But the idea with that is that it'll get put on a backlog, and then someone won't get around to it for 2 years because it's not mission critical, right?
Mm,
So when we talk about going into no code from a career perspective, you must always think of what you're building or the things that you're creating in this space as business solutions, right? And
right.
when you use that language, you'll start to capture the attention of your upper management team, and you'll get
Mhm.
more buy-in and approval for whatever you're trying to propose to them, right? And so when you want to get that approval, you want to go ahead and learn. I'd say this is one of the top things someone starting out should learn how to do, is to learn how to build a business case, because it justifies why you want to learn or why you want to buy into the idea of building this application. And a business case would basically say, hey, I want to build this portal where everyone on the team can see the status of all of our projects, and we can communicate with each other and get feedback instantly. And the reason why we need to do this is because there's a lot of miscommunication. We're losing time. Our customers are waiting, but they won't always be so patient. We want to get on top of this now. You want to use words that your higher ups will understand and say, yes, this is about the business. You'll say, we'll lose time. It's risky. You'll say, we're losing money. They want to hear
Yeah.
those words. Their ears are going to perk up when you say we're losing money, right? So basically, the issue there, that talking the language is key to getting that buy-in or that sponsorship from your organization. And that's the easiest way for you to be able to learn these things without having to invest too much in the beginning, right? So you can do this through your organization first in order for
Mhm.
you to figure out what the challenges are, and you won't be putting too much on the line when you do so, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And that's Jessica. I think that's also why we keep on seeing, from especially us advocates of no codes, you keep on seeing like newsletters or events that have sort of like how to save X amount of time by doing so and so, or how to master data. These, it all has to do with the problem and the process that you're trying to optimize for your business rather
yes.
than the tool. And I can see as well in the chat there was some tools questions there, like does anyone have a list of low code no code tools they prefer to use to
Mhm.
solve for specific use cases? And so, for example, to that question, I replied, I guess it depends on the use case, because right,
Yes.
what we're trying to show you here, people, is that focus on the problem, focus on the process that you would rather optimize. And yes, Thali in the chat, she says build the business case, don't forget storytelling with data, because that's so much more powerful than you going to your boss and saying, hey, we're going to implement this tool
Mhm.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they're gonna, the obvious question is
Right.
why.
And the thing is about business people and organizations is they have a narrow focus. Their narrow focus is mitigating risk. So this might be risky. We don't know what no code is. We don't know what a citizen developer is. We have no idea what no code ops are. So you want to speak their language, and it doesn't have to be fancy jargon. If you talk about mitigating risk, reducing operational costs, increasing revenue, if you use those types of words, they'll definitely pay attention, and you'll get more buy-in and sponsorship from your upper management to support this initiative. So the idea here is, once you utilize a business case to tell a story with data, that's something that they can use themselves when they're speaking to their teams on the higher level. So it's something that allows them to say, well, this seems like a viable idea. maybe we should invest in training. Maybe we should invest in the development of our people. And that's when you can say that now you have a start of something, even if it's not a big initiative. Just getting the support means I am now allowed time from my regular daily work to commit to this. I now have a teammate, or I now have other resources. So resources usually comes down to just time and money. Someone's going to invest in a tool for me so that I can go ahead and start tinkering and figuring things out for the organization. So I would say, like, that's pretty much where taking initiative started for me. When I started figuring things out, I'd come home from work from my job in wellness, and I would stay up to like 2 and 3 in the morning trying to figure out
So
how
not
to.
not so wellness, 2 and 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm never practice what I preach, by the way, as far as that went. So I kinda had like 2 jobs at that point, and it was like, because I had so much determination to figure it out, I would stay up until 2 and 3 in the morning just to see what more could I do with this platform. And at the time, I was using a no code platform that was in its infancy. It was only 4 months old. At that time, I was using Glide when it was just 4 months old. And so we used Google Sheets to use formulas to make Glide do things that it didn't do naturally. And so it was like, once I figured out those things and I could go back to the community and then teach them what I learned, it was like more people came to me about things. But the idea here was that what I learned from that was most people have the same problems. So in your organization, if you're in the marketing department or HR department, more than likely on an operational level, we all have the same problem. We all have the same problem of finding data, not having a single source of truth. Like, maybe you need to build a portal where everyone can find information in one space and justify why you need to do that, right? So it was just like that, repeating the same thing over and over again. I eventually got very good at it, and eventually other people got great at it because I showed them how to do it. So I would say that just taking the initiative costs you nothing but a little bit of curiosity.
Oh, I love that. I love that phrase. Nice.
All right. So I do want to talk about uh career paths, because I was not even aware of the industry when I started, and I wasn't coming from another industry. But some people are in professional spaces where they have the opportunity to learn from their surroundings. And basically, a person who wants to dive into no code have a lot of different paths they could take. There's no particular order in which this can come first. But from my experience, it's best to start at the entrepreneur part of the journey. It means that you're in an organization and you're creating the tools. You're the individual that can see the problems that need to be solved from a business perspective, right? And in the enterprise space, these are usually like uh, the line of business people who are owning these business problems and looking to solve these business problems. So if you're not some sort of business analyst or in the business space, you don't have to be. You can be just a practitioner in your department, someone who's looking to solve problems in your department. And this is what this fancy word means.
Yeah,
You're
I was just like, "Is that a typo?" It's not a typo. I was like, it's the first time I hear about an intrapreneur.
entrepreneur. Yeah, an
So
entrepreneur.
cool. Is
Yeah,
that is that a fancy word for an operator? Before, like, back in the days, they used to be called intrapreneurs.
well, it's like an entrepreneur, but within an organization. It means that you
Yeah,
think like a business person within an organization, right? So, and you behave like a business person. You want to solve those problems and create systems and operations like a business person within an organization,
I
right?
love
And so
that.
that's what ops people are, right? So whether you're
I'm
a system,
gonna declare myself an entrepreneur right
that's
now.
right. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of entrepreneurs in this live now, because
Mhm.
all it really takes is a little bit of curiosity and the initiative to go ahead and try to solve one of those problems. And like, you're like one automation away from being a person that you never thought you were, right? So it's really that simple. It's also a learning process, right? So I like to tell people, like, you can become easily an educator in this space, and you do not need to know everything about no code to become an educator in this space, because someone behind you does not know anything about no code. You can teach them the little that you think you know, you can teach them what you know. It simply and become an educator. And as you build your expertise, you'll be able to teach more people what it is that you're learning. So, from an educator, there, I believe, and I think you can speak to this, Claudia. Uh, you can become a community builder, right? More and more people will come to ask you questions. Eventually, you're going to want to organize and say, "Hey guys, meet me at 6 o'clock on Zoom, and we can talk about it." Right? So, and all you need to do that is to create space. That's it. Create space and have a common understanding of what we're doing here. And as the community builds, we go from just you being the teacher to everyone. We're crowdsourcing our knowledge based on our personal experiences. Some of us will be in marketing, some of us will be coming from different industries, and we'll be able to share those experiences with people that are coming in. And now this is user generated content, right?
Is a
Everyone.
blockchain of knowledge.
Exactly. And that's the best part about it. You get to learn, and due to great technology, we can learn from people across country lines now. We're all over the world, right? So, and that's a beautiful thing as far as looking at the limitations. There are no more limitations to what we can learn about different spaces and different markets when you think of it from a business perspective, right? So, there, I think that the path of going from entrepreneur to educator to community builder is probably the wisest path to go. And it doesn't even have to be something so formal. You can do this at work. This isn't something that you have to do outside of work. All you have to do is start with getting that sponsorship from management to say, hey, we would love to gather in this space once a week, once a month, or whatever the case is, and try to solve some of these problems. And the more that you organize this way, and someone in your organization will see that this is producing something good, and you'll get more buy-in. Something that is a little bit further into the progression of actually developing is project management. And in like, in the most concise way to put it, project management, although it's a really big thing, it's simply just making sure that the projects go off on the timeline that they are set to go on, and within the budget that it was set to be put in, right? So just keeping things on track for everyone that's a part of a development project. So after you go from being a developer as an entrepreneur, an educator, and a community builder, it's a nice progression to maybe managing things, overseeing things, right? And giving your expertise on how things should happen there. And a nice progression to that could be consulting or an industry expert. When we talk about consulting and industry expertise, this could be general business consulting. The idea here is that more organizations need people who understand how the business works. And although that's not probably not like very interesting or exciting, when you scope it down to what you do as maybe a marketer, or what you do, let's say what I was doing at the time, I was studying for acupuncture boards. What if I had a massage practice, but if I went into acupuncture practice, I would have to know how to automate things. I would have to know how to handle my client charts and things of that sort. So it's about really becoming the expert in your own space and being
Mhm.
able to speak to others that may want to buy into the knowledge that you have in that space. So that finally brings me to individuals that may get really excited about no code and want to go off and like start an agency and do the freelance work or anything of that sort. I've been in this space. I've been in it in like working for a company and an agency, and also I've done freelance. And I'd say that the best bet for you, I didn't have this opportunity, but the best bet for you would be to be at your company and learn exactly what the market is looking for with no code. It would be best to understand from an agency perspective or a freelancer's perspective, what are you going to be providing your customer, right? So this is where that business knowledge comes in again. Most people make the mistake of deciding to go into agency like I did, and whatever it is that you want to build, I'm going to build it for you. I'm going to develop every app from a micro SaaS community, anything under the sun. I'm going to build it for you. Biggest mistake ever. Constantly burnt out, constantly researching how to do things over and over again. You want to go into agency and freelance development in a market that you already know. You know the business problems that need to be solved, and you know the most common solutions that work for those problems, right? And you want to be able to make your agency something that's repeatable. So you're not building
Mm.
things custom from scratch all the time.
Yeah, I just we often talk about APIs here in the community because it's just like a completely different topic. But it just made me think. We in no code we keep making this reference to APIs, the restaurant
Mhm.
analogy, and so
Yeah.
you just made me think. Imagine going to a restaurant without a menu. And the
Yeah.
client shows up and they're like, "Oh, cook me a lasagna," and then you
Yeah.
have to run to the kitchen and look on Google for a recipe, and the result wouldn't be as great as what
Imagine
know how. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. You just said it. The results would not be as great because
Yeah.
you'll be winging it for a lot of this if you just jump in there. But if you became the expert at something that I actually was pretty good at for a while when I started out, creating marketing funnels with your no code expertise, automations for marketing. You know what I mean? It's like I just became the person that everyone during pandemic who needed to get online, they needed to go digital. I was the person to create all of their marketing funnels and whatever it is that they had to do. And that linked to a portal where they kept everything in an app or something like that. So it's just like, imagine if you were the one person that knew everything about your industry, your particular space, you would be able to execute it best, and it would be so easy and it wouldn't be work anymore. And I'm telling you this from a perspective of being in another industry where you fall out of love with your work when it becomes work, right? So
Mm,
I'm telling you, if you love no code and you want to go into agency or freelance, find your niche, find your people that you can serve, and you can serve them well without burning yourself out, and you have a life and you can become the best version of whatever developer you choose to be, right? Because and I get this from my favorite business book. It's really really old, but sticking to that one space makes you best at it. Means you can charge more for it, and everyone knows you're the boss of that space, right? So it's like I learned that from a book called The Pumpkin Plan. It
hmm.
was really about just focusing on pooling all your resources, your learning on this one pumpkin to make it the biggest pumpkin in the nation, right? So the same idea here. You want to be the master of all of the community building platforms. You want to be able to be the master of marketing solutions. Pick a niche. And the best place to start learning what those problems are at work. If you're in the marketing department, if you're in the HR department, you know you're the closest to the problem. You have the problem every day. Learn how to solve that problem and then go build an agency after you figure out what customers need.
That's so beautiful. I feel like, oh, we're getting so much value out of this, whatever, like it's been what, 30 minutes. This is such a beautiful presentation. Thank you so
Sorry, I
much.
probably went over a little bit, but I
No,
really,
this is brilliant, and it's serving all the people, all the user personas we have in our community, entrepreneurs
yeah.
or consultants or agency owners. We have them, and so this is really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and I also wanted to chime in. I think I kind of like brushed over it a bit as a consultant. I went from being a freelance developer into consultancy with Forrester Research. And like I said, it was really just kind of lining up that knowledge And I went into doing research for low code application development, low code platforms, understanding what the market needs, the trends, and of course the no code development aspect, which is citizen development and enterprise. There's room to grow in different directions with this skill. So whether you're going to be a consultant on the enterprise side or just for small businesses that are looking to something as simple as the biggest question in the world, which platform do I use? Be a master consultant at answering that question, you'll get business. Someone asks me that question every day. Which is the best platform for me to use? And I have a rationale for everyone. I'll tell this little secret. I spend my time on Reddit answering this question almost every day, and I give them the breakdown about why all the other recommendations weren't the best. But I do spend my time looking for the things that people are asking questions about, and that's another thing. Be a researcher, right? I spend time on Reddit because I feel like so many people have questions. Some of them are the same, but they have questions that need to be answered. And I'd love to provide that expertise for them. I mean, I don't get anything out of it other than knowing what people are questioning these days, right? But Reddit's a great resource, by the way, guys. I would hop in there, and there's a really good community there for no code, and it's there are different threads all over the world. So I would definitely dive in there and see what you can find. You can find customers in there if that be the case, right? So there's a lot there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The career paths, you can start anywhere. You can start where you're at work, become an entrepreneur, and work your way up to being a consultant or an agency owner.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
So I am open to any questions or thoughts anyone might have about any of
Let's
these
do that.
topics. Yeah.
Let's open Q&A. We've got about 20 minutes left. So remember what I said at the very beginning of our live? This is your chance. We still have a great amount of people watching us live. So Jessica is here. She's just proven you. She's got a ton of value, a ton of knowledge to share. So ask away. And I'm going to pull up some of the questions that we have already from our form. But Jessica, this is absolutely fantastic. I'm so happy, so thrilled to have met you, to have you in our No Code Ops community as well. And I'm very happy that I know that this is not going to be the last time we do something together. Just
Yeah.
gonna, I've been sprinkling hints here and there during our past live streams as well. Yeah, this is not the last time you'll see Jessica here at No Code Ops. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, let me get a couple questions here from the form. Okay, from Nix, another member of our community. How long did it take you before you realized that you could start to make a living or a career from no code? I guess that ties back to your very beginning, to the story that you were saying.
Well, I didn't realize, Nix. I didn't. I just was, head down trying to create this study app to get my boards done. And before you knew it, if I could give you a few, it was literally less than 6 months before the owner of that community hired me, just from answering questions that she couldn't answer for her customers.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
So that's when I realized. That's when I realized, like, you're going to pay me to teach. And it was at first part time, and then it went into. I mean, it was per diem at first, and then it went into a part time position. And then I moved on within a year. I moved on into my own freelance little shop where I built for my own customers.
Brilliant. And you see, it takes sometimes it can take longer, it can take
Yeah.
shorter time, but it's just getting your foot in, right? And
Yeah.
having that curiosity that you were saying,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
really important.
I was just about to say that I'm a little bit obsessive about things. So when I tell you I stayed up till 2 in the morning trying to figure things out, I did. And that's how I could, help people more and of course fix my own problems. But it was noticed, right? And so just taking that initiative, it will be noticed. So if you're at work trying to figure out if this is going to be a waste of time, I promise you, stick to the one thing. Don't try to do anything other than solve a problem. That's it. And people will love you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Nix, I hope that helps. A question from Kiandra. Do you think it's still helpful to have some coding knowledge?
Most definitely. I don't have any coding knowledge. I have tinkered with Python and HTML, and I can do things with code, but I know that there's enough no code technology out there to do everything that I would want to do with code. Uh, there is a cap that you're going to meet. There's often conversation about what you can't do with no code, and if I often tell people, if you find that there's something so far that you can't do with no code, go to low code, right? A lot of low code platforms are no code. Like you can start off and do a lot with visual designers, and you still don't have to inject code into that project for a really long time. The difference would be that it's for a different environment. Usually in more like corporations, they use low code platforms, and the buy-in is usually like for a full year versus just like the month to month that we would pay for our no code platforms. But if you need to do something that needs code, uh, you're probably building something that's a little bit more robust. And so knowing it, sure, it's good to know it, but I believe that no, I'm a little biased. I think that no code platforms can handle most of what we're trying to create here in this space. So it's always good to have, but I have friends for that.
Absolutely. Or communities, that's the beautiful
Yeah,
thing of being in a community. You can always leverage on your fellow innovators, like at
yeah,
No Code Ops
yeah. And now we have things like ChatGPT to help us, right?
or good old GPT. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Operator. I've created my own custom GPT and called it Operator, of course.
Really nice. See,
Yeah, I do have a little curiosity in me. um, Great question here from Dominic, another member of our community. For the better part of 2 years, I have been running our no code operations solo. Now I have a small team to scale up to support the function. If part of the goal is to avoid a single point of failure, do you recommend we learn it all? Database design, automation, UI design, low code, integration, etc., or start down to ultimately own a designated track? Let me write that down. Is a long question.
yeah, I know. It is a long question, but I get what she's saying.
Mhm.
You don't want to be. I personally believe you don't want to be when you have an agency. You don't want to be the jack of all trades, right? Figure out what your fit is. And the reason why I say that is because most people think that if you don't know it all, you're missing out on something. You'll miss out on a customer. It just means that customer isn't for what you're selling. You also need to understand, like I said, when you're in a space, understand the problems for the customer that you want to solve. This, for those who are or have startup ideas and they're building apps to go to market, the idea, what you'll eventually learn is you don't build an app and try to find a market for it. You build, you find a problem and you build an app or a solution for that. The same thing I would say for your agency. If you find that one track that belongs to you, but find the problem in a market that you can solve with the skills that your team has, right? That's the best fit. Learning everything isn't always necessary, but be a shop that has, I don't want to say a little bit of everything because it sounds like the little bit of everything will be lackluster, but find your fit where you can provide all that you have to one particular customer. So yes, do find a track that belongs to you.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. A question here from Stephen in our audience. Hi, Jessica. What do you think about the market trends and economic impact of low code adoption in business?
Okay. This is a little bit touchy. I think that the adoption of low code in from the data that I engaged with when at Forrester, there are more companies looking to adopt no code and low code platforms, as well as hire and groom uh, the technical expertise within the organization. So the trends are rising, but I have to be honest with you, not as fast as everyone anticipated that it would, right? Especially in our economic climate right now, the idea of adopting more tools like I said in the talk before, companies are focused on reducing operational costs, and buying into another platform is increasing it's an operational cost, right? So the idea is that most organizations are looking to, if they can find a solution that keeps business going until things start looking up, yeah, it has slowed down the low code adoption, in my personal opinion. There are companies that have already adopted it. Most of them go for tools that already exist in their organizational suites, their environments. So the adoption may be there if they don't have to go out and buy something new. But it definitely is growing, just not as quick as I think everyone anticipated.
Mm. I wonder why that is as well. And I guess we have a follow-up question here from Alexandra, that could tie in nicely. What are the areas where no code can be a differentiator in a company's ops?
What are the areas? I think I'll have to think about it because, like I said before, like if you go to any particular department, maybe someone has experience in something that maybe I haven't had. Any particular department, most of them have similar issues. And a lot of those issues are along the lines of like transparency, like something as simple as finding data, right? So like having like a portal where everyone can, like what they call a single source of truth, right? So something like uh what they call breaking down data silos, separation, redundancies. This department has the same app as that department, like things like that. So as far as no code being a differentiator in a company's operations, a lot of the solutions that are out there are solutions for multiple departments. I so far have not come across. I'm really trying to think about where no code could set something apart, because I hate to use the word limitations. It's just no code is appropriate for a certain set of things before you'd have to move on to something a little bit more advanced like low code, right? So as far as the solutions that no code would be speaking to for operations, portals, and just the usual,
CRMs.
yeah, CRMs, usual suspects, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. And y- workflows, and like look at how your company is communicating, or do you have, do you document your automations? Do you, all those basic, well, not basic, but like I would say all those areas that
yeah,
could definitely do with a little automation magic.
yeah, yeah. And I'd say that with the, availability of, you throw AI in there, you can have something that stands out very quickly. And as simple as a knowledge base would seem,
Hmm.
that could easily be a differentiator in the way that something is delivered. A lot of the time in no code, we're always building apps. We're building apps. We're building apps. If you throw in a conversational uh, window, it makes a difference automatically in how information is delivered rather than looking at a spreadsheet or looking at a portal, right? So I would say that's a differentiator. Combinations of other tools with no code will definitely set apart how you're developing things in operations.
Yeah, and think about what we discussed during the webinar, like data. Like try and think of how you're going to report the importance of that particular no code process that you're about to implement, because even that, that's an area of differentiation, right? If you say we're going to save X amount of time and X amount of money by doing this, that's already sets whatever else the company was doing apart
Yeah.
from what you're offering.
Yeah.
And people, I'm trying to get to all your questions, so be patient. um, Here's a question for somebody who's not working for an organization, for example, a self-employed. What are some areas that one can get into for no code? I'm assuming as in
Industry.
services. Yeah,
Industry. Well,
industry.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I when I heard the question, I thought industries. If not, correct me, Rachel. But definitely services. When you talk about services, it'll go back to what we were talking about before. If you're just a freelancer, you're not an org, you're self-employed, just tap into yourself first. What is it that you know that people need to know? information, if you want to be, and that automatically makes you, you can apply your information to technology. You're a consultant. You're an educator. How is it that you want to package and deliver what you're offering? Do you want to say that I know everything there is to know about operating a spa, right? And create a digital solution and sell it to spas? Or do you want to be the person that consults with the spa owner, right? So there, no matter what industry you can class it, there is a service that you can provide, whether it's a technological service or your expertise to move someone forward in business. And once again, like we were saying, just stick to solving a problem and stick to a business solution, and you can pretty much apply it to any area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope that helps, Rachel.
Yeah.
Let us know. And from your educational background, I think this could be an interesting question for you, Jessica. From Stephen, what is the key challenge in teaching non-technical people on no-code platforms?
uh I've come across a lot of challenges, but I've found that when I first started, I wanted to give everybody everything so that they could just do the best that they could. I wanted to give them everything that was in my brain. One of the key challenges I would say is that non-technical people, just think about it like this. You're working at your company for 10 years now. When was the last time you were in a classroom? Years ago, right?
Yeah.
So the greatest challenge there is reacclimating people into a space where they feel confident enough to say that they can do this, right? And so that's why there's a lot of emphasis on empowerment to say you can do this. But I don't know anything about tech, but you can do this. Let me show you. You already do this. You work with spreadsheets, you can do this, right? So that's one of the challenges. I had a lot of people in classes that just didn't feel like they could do it, and I walk you through it. I don't do anything for you. You do it yourself so that you can get it. And I focused a lot on showing people that they could do it themselves, and then they get to show everyone else without embarrassment. After they're done working, you have to go put it in the group to show everybody what you built. So now you get praise for it. Now you feel more confident about it. That's one thing. So it's just reacclimating people to an education environment where they feel confident. And the other thing is, some people are like, well, I want the button over here. Why won't it go over there? Like there is, there's a level of, I guess you could say, skill or understanding of people have sometimes a limited understanding of digital solutions. Like we use our phones a lot, we might use a computer at work, but if you took us out of the realm of that, how does that work, right? So it's a slow progress, but you got to build people back up into understanding that this takes time, and not to beat themselves up about it. And just to put it in a word, it's just all of that really sums up to just confidence, right? So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see that a lot as well, with community platforms as well, or, whether it's trying to teach people, setting up opportunities for everyone, or setting up a space like the community. It's really almost like grabbing their hands and be like, okay, come with me. Let me show you how it works.
Yep.
And, just like really direct them. Because it's so true. Even though it's funny, sometimes people say to me, oh, I find, I don't know, the messages Discord overwhelming, and then it's the same person that has built tons of workflows for a company, and I'm like, how does
Yep.
that, how's that possible? And so you really have to create not only a welcoming space, but also the user experience for your whoever you're trying to teach or you're trying to involve in something that you're offering. And really, yeah, for them
Yeah.
to feel confident but also comfortable wherever is that you're taking them.
Yeah. It takes a little time. That's it. Patience.
Patience. You see this aureola on our heads. Last question here, because I know we're at time, but people, do not despair. If you're here, if you're loving this content, because I'm sure you are, we are gonna see Jessica again next week, and
Yep.
as well as Alexander from our first event of the month. Was it this? No, because we're in May now. Well, first event of April. And
Mhm.
then we had Kelly and Sahil. So all the amazing speakers we've had, we're gathering them all together back for another beautiful roundtable. So come along next week, next Thursday. Bring all the questions that we haven't answered. Apologies, but you'll get more quality time from them and with them next week. So my last question here is from Morris. He says how to search for no code ops roles and stand out in your job application. I can answer the first question.
Mhm.
www.nocodeops.com. Check out our website. We also have a job board. We
Yes.
advertise our jobs not every day, but every other day, I would say. So
Mhm.
a ton of jobs get advertised in our board, in our community, in our newsletter. So stay close to us and you'll get a lot of those. But Jessica, any other tips?
I would say I'm going to second what you're saying to search for jobs in community spaces because although we just spoke about that the adoption isn't going as fast as we like, but companies are looking for no code people. But our technical recruiting world, trust me, I did an entire research on this, they haven't caught up to the change. So you guys are ahead of the curve with getting the skill, but our recruiting has not caught up to it. Not no recruiting has caught up to the proper processes of hiring a no code person. But if you ever got a chance, go ahead and do a search and do no code, low code citizen development, and you'll find a job or two that's out there, right? They have very creative ways of hiring these people, ambushing people, all kinds of things. We haven't figured it out. So stick to a community that has job boards because that's the best bet. And they have the inside scoop with the person that is furnishing the job. So your best bet is to stick to a community.
Brilliant. And with that beautiful advice, wink, wink. I would say, Jessica, thank you so much for today's intervention. I absolutely love the event. I wish I could just stay here and keep on chatting with you for hours about the topic,
This
but
was fun. This was fun.
I
Lighthearted.
hope, yeah, I hope you felt you were in a welcoming space as well.
Definitely, definitely. I would love to do this. I can't wait till next week.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm so excited we'll get to see you again next week, and even happier that we'll get to learn more with you in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone. Take care. I'll see you all in our Discord or social media. You know where to find us. Take care. Bye bye.